B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. Today is a wisdom of Talmud, and the topic is, what was the greatest generation in the nation of Israel? The most grand, marvelous, and magnificent generation. And the answer may surprise you. The Gemara in Sanhedrin, and I urge you to look this up, Talmud Bavli, Sanhedrin 20a, says, Sheker Achein, that's the generation of Moshe and Yoshua. Hebel HaYofi, that's the generation of Chizkiah. Isha Yirat Hashem Ititalal, which is the highest form of fear of heaven. Who is King Shlomo talking about? That's the generation of Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Loi. And why was it the most greatest generation of all time? Because they were so destitute and poor, like dirt poor, that 6 Torah scholars had to wrap themselves in one piece of clothing. And on the surface level, obviously, we see that even though they were so poor, they still were clinging onto the lifeblood and the oxygen of the nation of Israel, and they still learned Torah. But my great Rosh HaYeshiva, the MIRRER Rosh HaYeshiva, brought down something, such a heartwarming idea, which also mirrors many stories he said in the Holocaust, and the CEO of Starbucks, when he said a eulogy about the Rosh HaYeshiva of the greatest yeshiva, the largest yeshiva in the world, the Mir Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, Mir HaKodesh, Tibana V'Tikonen. He said, the Rosh HaYeshiva Zatzal said that Rav Chaim Shmulevitz would always say, what do we learn? What is this piece of Talmud, Gemara, Chazal trying to teach us? And that is that when one is selflessness and caring about the other person, how is it really possible, the question is, that 6 people, which are basically unable to have clothing, how could they share one blanket that's made for one person, or maybe 1.5 people, and cover themselves in that clothing that they all should learn Torah? It must be that everybody is so angelic and selfless and altruistic that everybody's trying to push the blanket on their friend, not to be selfish and push the blanket towards themselves. So the great MIRRER Rosh HaYeshivas used to say, when everybody is totally dedicated to his friend, his humanity and nobility shines like the sun. That he's only interested in covering the other person, yes, miracles happen, supernatural things happen, that it is possible that 6 people can cover themselves in one blanket and all together in unity learn Torah. So may Hashem help us. Like the Alter of Slobodka said, every piece of Talmud is precious. Even the stories are even more. We have to even be more dedicated to learn the inner deeper message, like the Ben Ish Chai and Ben Yehoyada brings. The MIRRER Rosh HaYeshiva said clearly here, the message is to be selfless. The greatest generation of all time, even in a way greater than the time of Moshe and Chizkiah, which Chizkiah was supposed to Mashiach ben David, is a generation where people are so poor, but yet so noble in their humanity, and their heart is so grand that they're not always trying to pull the blanket and piece of clothing to cover their own self, but rather everybody's thinking about the other person and trying to cover the other person. That's so wonderful and heartwarming. Let us be and follow in the footsteps of that most grand and wonderful and noble and angelic generation of all time.